All right, here we are. Hello, everyone. Welcome to This Week in Mormons, the Sisters Edition with
Yes.
Arianne Smith,
And Tiffany Hales.
real life sisters.
Real life sisters, not just sisters in the gospel.
That's right.
We biologically share the same parents.
That's right. So here we are for the month of November.
Yes.
I cannot believe it's November already. Time
I
flies.
know.
Also, it is like full-blown holiday mode.
Oh, really?
Around here, around everywhere. Well, it's been Christmas in Hobby Lobby since
July.
But I feel like especially this year, and I don't know if it's with, the rumors of the shortages and the supply chain, I was in Walmart today and they just were like full blown Christmas music blaring.
I noticed that too. I was in there tonight picking up a prescription. I was like, is that Christmas music I hear?
Everybody's all in this year. They're
I guess so.
It's
all
good.
in.
So,
all right.
Anyway, so my steak is gearing up for Christmas season.
Okay, so what are you guys doing for Christmas season?
And if you've listened to us before, we joke about my steak.
Your steak is special.
And how they're so extra and they go above and beyond and do big things, really big things.
I'm just shaking my head.
I am happy to report that this holiday season, and they've always done a service project around the holiday times. Usually it's a one-day thing. People come and you donate items and you come to the steak center and assemble things.
Okay.
And it's a big service thing, which is great. Well, this year they are going all in on the service, which I actually really appreciate because I've always said sometimes I do get frustrated when my steak does these massive big things. And I think we should use our energy
and resources
in a better way. And I actually really feel like this is a very positive way to use that big energy.
So what are they doing for service? Resources? Do you know?
Oh my gosh, there's so many things. So they're calling November the month of service, the month of giving. So this is not a one-time event. This is a whole month. There are a bazillion sign-up geniuses going around. We're helping with scouting for food, which we also did last year. They discovered with our local food bank that with the decrease in Boy Scouts, which is significant here in Idaho.
Yes, it is.
They decided we need to support scouting for food in a big way or else our local food bank suffers. So we've been, scouring the neighborhood, handing out flyers and bags and collecting food. And then they are collecting all kinds of items for refugees. We have a lot of Afghanistan refugees that are starting to come into Boise. So they're heavily involved in that. They're heavily involved in having us help with the refugees. They're sending us all kinds of volunteer opportunities through the International Rescue Committee. And so all kinds of that. They're also collecting things for shelters and there's just a whole slew.
So there's basically something to fit everybody.
Yes.
So if you don't like this, you might like that.
Yes. Oh, there's a big Rake the Town day this Saturday.
Are they doing a blood drive?
Yes, there's a blood drive.
Okay, I do have to say, you remember how last month I talked about and I said, shouldn't we be doing blood drives? The Boy Scouts used to do blood drives. Well, unbeknownst to me, my steak had a blood drive scheduled for that week.
That's so funny.
It was kind of funny. I was like, I guess I missed that email.
Yep. So there's a blood drive. There's always a blood drive. So they're putting their resources to get. Now they are also doing in December the drive-through nativity. Which they did for the first time last year. Big deal, live animals, a route. There was narration, you could tune your car radio.
One of those deals.
Certain station and have narration and drive through and see all the things. So they are still doing that. They're currently recruiting actors to play people. And I'm sure that soon they'll be recruiting parking flagger traffic director.
Well, for those male parts, they should have been recruiting those actors a little sooner if they want them to have a real life beard.
Well, they could just save their beard for April when I'm sure they will do their living Last Supper again.
Oh, that's true. So you grow it now, you save it till April, you shave in May.
So we should have.
Because it is like No Shave November. So you get to start on, No Shave November.
You could get multi-use out of that beard in my steak.
Oh, very good.
Bearded actors needed.
Okay.
So,
well,
what's going on with you?
I am going to open with a rant tonight.
Oh, a rant.
Now,
what do we have a rant about?
I am going to preface this with, this is a first world privileged problem. And I freely admit this is a first world privileged problem. But are you aware there is a garment shortage?
No.
Yes, there is a garment shortage.
Are you kidding me? I had not heard this. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised. There's a shortage of literally everything right now.
Exactly. So let me tell you about my travels and traverses in order to buy garments. So first of all, you have to understand a couple of things about me to appreciate how difficult and what a trial this is that I'm having with the garment shortage. Okay, first of all, when I replace my garments, I replace all of them. I do not mix and match. I do not go, okay, my tops are in still good condition. I'll just replace the bottoms.
You do? I did not know this.
Oh, yeah. Like I am way too OCD to mix and match old and new. Like it all goes, all the old goes and all the new comes in. I cannot mix and match. That like messes with my mind. Okay.
That's so funny.
So with the new stretch cotton, probably about 18 to 20 months I'm replacing. So I had replaced right near, I can't remember if it was the end of 2019 or the beginning of 2020. It was somewhere right in there that I had replaced. So that's the first thing you need to understand. Second thing you need to understand is I only do laundry once a week. And that's actually, I used to only do laundry like every 2 to 3 weeks before I started wearing garments because I have an obscene amount of clothes, as you know.
Yeah.
Like I could go months without doing laundry.
She really could.
If we're just talking clothing.
Yeah.
And anyway, and so I only do laundry once a week and I do that laundry on Sunday. So when I buy garments, I buy 10 pairs because that gives me enough, if I need to make it through a weekend.
You have a cushion.
I have a small window cushion. Okay. And so anyway, so my garments, I should say this is probably just TMI. The bottoms were getting a little bit worn out. Let's put it that way. So I was like, okay, they are holy, but not in the way they're supposed to be holy. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to run into Deseret Book where the distribution center is and grab me 10 tops and 10 bottoms. So I run into distribution center. My husband goes, oh, by the way, while you're there, pick me up some too. Okay. So I was like, no problem. Because he does the same thing. It is out with the old, in with the new. And he always replaces his in the fall because they're really gross after working in the heat and everything in the summer because he's in construction. Okay. So I run into Deseret Book, grab my little basket, first thing I find is my bottoms, 10 of my bottoms in. I go to the tops. There's only 2 of my tops. And I'm like, well, that's not going to work. Right. I'm like, oh, they probably just had a run on them. I'll ask the lady to get some in the back. So then I go and I find my husband's bottoms and I grab, 10 of my husband's bottoms. Didn't have any tops for him. And I'm like, and it said out of stock. And I'm like, oh dear. So I grabbed one of the workers and I said, oh, you only have 2 of these bottoms on the shelf or 2 of these tops on the shelf. Can you check in the back and see if there's any more tops of my tops? And she's like, sure. How many do you want? And I said, well, I need 10 total and I only have 2. So I guess I need 8. And she said, oh, there's only a maximum you can buy of 5. And I was like, what?
Oh, we have capped limits now?
We have capped limits. And I said to her, because I was so caught off guard, I said, oh, that's not going to work. I only do laundry once a week. I was like, that is just not going to work. And she's like, well, I guess I can let you have 7.
Oh.
And I was like, but still, I'm thinking to myself, then I have to wash like every 6 days. I mean, I can't even imagine 5. I would have to do laundry every 4 days.
5 would be bad.
First of all, I don't do laundry every 4 days. Second, every 4 days worth of laundry does not fill up the washing machine because that is another thing I am OCD about. I cannot do a load of laundry unless it is a full load of laundry. I'm really kind of an in-closet environmentalist.
Really? Doesn't your machine have a setting for like
No.
a small load?
Even if it did, it has to be a full load. I blame our mother for this, okay? This is a remnant of my childhood. Anyway, so she lets me have the 7. So now I have 7 bottoms and I have 2 tops for myself. I have 7 bottoms for my husband and no tops.
Oh.
So I'm like, okay, well, it's a start. So then I go online and I'm like, okay, well, it looks like online I can order.
Okay.
So I order, but you again online will only let me do 5. So I did order 5 bottoms for myself online because that would actually put me up to 14, which is kind of where I wanted to be. I kind of wanted to up from the 10 to the 14. And I ordered 5 tops because that was the max I could have there. And I was able to order tops for my husband, but again, only in quantities of 5. So you order, but then you don't necessarily get your shipment.
Oh, really?
So I got my tops and I got my husband's tops and I got my husband's bottoms, but I didn't get my remaining bottoms. My remaining bottoms are on back order.
Oh, are they stuck on a boat?
I have no
They're stuck on a boat.
idea. So I have all of these new garments out of their bags laid out, ready to put like away in drawers, but I'm like, I can't do it till I have a full set.
So when you order from the church, do you have like a shipping status and a tracking number?
No, they do send you emails like when it is shipped.
I've never ordered mine online.
I've never
it sounds
ordered
like
mine
I'm going to have to
either. So anyway, and I'm still short a couple tops for my husband. So I have to get on and get a couple more tops for him. But I'm half tempted just to go back to Deseret Book and see if they have my bottoms because they had tons of my bottoms when I was there the first time. And then when the bottoms, if they ever come in, I could just go, well, I'll save those for next time I want to change out garments.
You're going to have to drive to Utah.
I'm telling you, this is just a real world
I wonder
problem.
if it's any better. It's probably worse in Utah.
I was very tempted to write President Nelson a letter and say, dude, I'm happy to wear your underwear. However, there are a few things here that aren't working for me. So can you do something about that?
All right, folks, you heard it here. There apparently is a run on garments.
There is a garment shortage.
Please don't go out and stockpile. I think you are on the verge of stockpiling with 14, Missy. You better give it up.
I'm either I'm gonna have to be medicated to do that because things have to line up, and I don't want to do laundry more than 1 day a week.
Well, you know me, I'll just save mine forever because I do not like the process of disposing of them. By the way, are you disposing of yours?
Oh, yes.
Do you have a fire?
Yes.
How do you do this? Okay.
Yes.
Well, next time you have a fire, tell me and I'll send mine your way.
Perfect. No, we have a fire pit in the back of the house. And so when we get the pile, I give them to my husband and I say, because he's a pyromaniac, I'm like, go take care of this. And he goes and he takes care of it.
Okay. Well, I'm sending mine to you. I've had this discussion on here before. It just is like,
okay,
it's too much.
Send me the bag.
It's too difficult for me to do. It shouldn't be that difficult. It's too difficult. So I hold on to mine forever.
Okay. Well, anyway, I'm getting kind of desperate at this point in time with my bottoms. Like it's not getting good. I may have to break some rules. I don't know. I don't have to see how long I can hold out until I get some bottoms. But I am going to try and hit the Deseret Book and see if I can get at least so I have 10. Okay. 10 is what I had. So,
all right. Well,
okay.
There you go.
Should we do some news stories now that I'm off of my soapbox about the garment shortage?
Yes, we should.
Okay.
We have several like little brief things we're going to hit on that came up in the news this week. First one is Jeff just talked about this temple last week when he podcasted. And shortly after he podcasted, they announced that Rio de Janeiro, Brazil temple has an open house and dedication date now. Ooh. Coming right up around the corner. So
if you're a temple voyeur and you want to go to open houses, book yourself a little ticket to Rio.
That would be a fun place. Okay. And then, also, the church released within the last week, they have done updates to the Gospel Library app.
Oh. Now, I have not downloaded the updates, but I saw on your phone tonight you had downloaded the updates, and there were some cool features.
I like them. I mean, it's nothing like earth-shattering, but it's good. They have like a quote of the day and a scripture of a day that is like come follow me related. That's like right on the main page. So that's kind of nice. But what I really love is right on the main page, you have your icon for the library. And then right underneath it, you have a separate icon for Come Follow Me and a separate icon for General Conference.
Oh, that is very nice.
So you no longer have to go into the library and hunt
through several
for General Conference and hunt for Come Follow Me. It's just right on the main.
Very nice.
Right on the main page. So I like that.
Well, and I think you said your only beef was you wished that they had included the hymn book as a link.
I thought if they could put that hymn book on the main page, that would also be very helpful because, you're in church fiddling through your phone trying to find those hymns.
Exactly.
But it's good. And the hymns are pretty easy to find, right? And once you click on the library. Yes. So I like it. Updates are good. Okay. Also in the news, church missionaries were moved out of Ethiopia this past week due to the country's civil unrest. So that's never a great scenario. It says there were 60 missionaries, including the mission leaders and the mission president, President and Sister Dudfield. They are temporarily being housed in Kenya, close by. And it did say there were 10 full-time missionaries that were from Ethiopia, and that they made individual decisions for each missionary based on the needs of them and their families. So
interesting.
Yeah, that was interesting. I mean, I'm sure some of those local ones maybe just got released.
Yeah.
To go home and try to be with their families and be safe. So that was interesting. Also released this week, the church released a list of the live church-wide broadcasts that will be coming up in 2022.
Okay. So you can mark those, get those on your calendar.
Yes, some things of note. There are 2 that are kind of new this year that they've never done before. One is in June, they will have a worldwide devotional on sharing the gospel.
Okay.
And then in August, they will have a worldwide event for parents.
Oh, interesting.
Maybe some parenting advice. I'll take it. I'll take everything I can get.
Fair enough.
And then this was exciting to me. Remember the friend to friend event they did last?
For the primary kids.
I think they did it last February, and I just raved about it on here. I loved it so much. Well, it must have been wildly popular because they are doing 3 next year.
Oh, wow.
3 friend-to-friend broadcasts. So I'm excited for those. That
Very
was
cool.
After the first one, I was hoping that would be something they would do again. Well, we're getting it 3 times again.
Okay. All right. In another shout out of just really quick news, many temples have cafeterias. Now, none of our temples here in the Boise area have cafeterias. The Boise temple did when it was originally built, but then when they went through remodel number 1, they got rid of the cafeteria. Anyway, the church closed down these cafeterias during COVID, and some of them may have come back online, but the church made a decision this week that it is going to permanently close all cafeterias inside of temples. Have you ever eaten at a cafeteria in a temple?
Not since I was younger. When the Boise one had one and we used to do baptisms, we would eat there sometimes. But when we lived in Portland, the Portland temple had a fully functioning cafeteria. In fact, our stake had a regular assignment to have people go and work in the kitchen. And I did it once, and I dropped a big pan on my toe. Ooh. And they had to file an incident report.
And you were not invited back.
I was limping out of the temple. It was fine.
Thank you for your service. Well, I have never eaten at a cafeteria. Here's my experience with the cafeteria in the Boise temple. When Rick and I, my first husband and I got married, and then of course, everybody is waiting for pictures. Well, we were pretty fast in changing and getting out there. And so then we're out there to take pictures. And where's Rick's dad? Oh, he decided to go have a bite to eat in the cafeteria.
What?
So we had to wait for him.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, I am not kidding you.
I can't believe you don't remember
that. I was like, where is he? Get him out here. I want to take pictures. Ooh, he's messing up my timeline.
Did he just really love that cafeteria food?
I
guess. The Las Vegas cafeteria, when I was in college, I had a roommate who was from Henderson, Nevada, Las Vegas area. The Las Vegas temple there was famous for their rolls in their temple cafeteria. And when she would go home and visit her family, she would bring back temple rolls for us.
So what did you think of the temple rolls?
They were delicious. Oh. It was like Texas Roadhouse style, just a good gooey dinner roll. Ooh. Yeah, they were delicious. So maybe it's a thing. Maybe they had temple rolls. Maybe that's what your father-in-law wanted.
Well, seriously, I have no idea. But I was just like, really? You pick now to go eat in the cafeteria? We're taking pictures.
That's so funny.
Anyway. All right. Well, now let's move on to, I've got a couple of BYU news stories. So the first one that we're going to talk about, this was in the BYU Alumni Magazine, and it was called The Center of It All. And it talked about the Marriott Center. I did not realize this. The Marriott Center is 50 years old. it went online, so to speak, although online wasn't a term then, but it opened its doors in 1971. And that just is like mind blowing to me. And when it opened its doors, it was, it had more seating capacity than Madison Square Garden, the Utah's Huntsman Center, or any other basketball arena, collegiate or professional in the country.
Really?
I know. Isn't that crazy?
I didn't know that.
So even today, it is the 10th largest collegiate arena. And the article goes through and talks about, that yes, it was designed, for sports and concerts, but they've done a lot more, they've done a lot of other things with it. And that the first major religious event, now this is really interesting, that took place in the Marriott Center, is there were 2 broadcast sessions of the Provo Temple dedication, which drew 40,000 people. So, we've been to like the Nauvoo one where they like turn your stake center into like a mini temple. Well, I had no idea they were doing this in 1972 when they dedicated the Provo Temple.
That was way before they did like remote things like that.
I know. So anyway, that was really cool. And then they talk about some of the concerts that they've had there. Now, I realize that you don't remember the concerts that they've had there because they ended those probably in the late 80s. When I was at BYU, we were one of the last ones that got to experience.
You mean like they used to do like concerts?
Oh yeah, here's who they've had. John Denver, the Beach Boys, Journey, Air Supply, Billy Joel. I remember when Billy Joel came.
I had no idea they did concerts there. I mean, it makes sense. Every college basketball arena has concerts.
I was a sophomore in college when Billy Joel came. Barry Manilow, the Carpenters, Neil Diamond, Boston Bread.
So did you go to any while you were at school there?
I did not go to any while I was
so
at school
expensive.
there. Yeah, exactly. Osmonds, REO Speedwagon, Elton John, Survivor, James Taylor, Kenny Loggins. I mean, every big name from the 70s, basically, and early 80s hit the concert circuit there. And I guess here's one of the reasons why I remember the Billy Joel concert. Billy Joel has this famous song called Only the Good Die Young.
Right.
And it's talking about this guy trying to like seduce this girl and say, hey, give up your values. So there was a whole editorial in the Daily Universe about everybody at the concert was singing this and knew all of the words to the song. And, really, what are we promoting when we know all the words to this song that's encouraging the girl to be bad?
And this is when the Marriott Center decided they had to nix the concerts.
I think this might have been when the Marriott Center,
because they were like, where do we draw the line?
Billy Joel might have done them in. So,
oh, that's so funny.
Anyway, okay. So yes, that is why I remember the Billy Joel concert.
So this, just talking about the Marriott Center reminded me, we went to Rexburg like about a month ago.
Okay.
And we went to see like the Pocatello, Idaho open house. And my husband, Keith, has cousins that live in Rexburg, and one of them works at BYUI. And so he took us up to the campus on Saturday, and we got to look all around. And I am amazed by the campus there. I didn't ever go there, but I had friends that went there when it was Rick's, and the campus is just massive now. Like gorgeous, beautiful, so much bigger, so many fancy new buildings. So he took us into this building there. It is called the BYUI Center. And inside half of the building is like their gym.
Okay.
With a track.
Okay.
And like basketball courts and all the things connected. So it's all part of the same massive building is their concert hall, which he was able to like take us inside and look. It is a mini conference center.
Really?
When you walk inside, it looks just like the concert
or the conference
center, only like one piece of the pie is missing. Like it holds almost as much as the conference center.
Oh, that's crazy.
Like a few thousand.
They've got a big student body there.
It holds a few thousand less, but it looks just like the conference center. The stage, the way that the seats are, it like if you just looked up, I was like, I feel like I'm in the conference center minus a section. And it's massive. And I was kind of shocked. And I thought, well, I guess And he said that that's what they use for all their devotionals.
Yeah.
And graduation is in there.
I'm guessing they probably don't have rock concerts.
Right. And the local high school graduations are in there. So it is their version of the Marriott Center, which makes sense. They don't have a Marriott Center.
Yeah.
They have like an old basketball gym.
Well,
they
don't have competitive basketball team anymore.
But yeah, they don't have anything that big. So they needed something so that was just really interesting to me that it looks just like the conference center. And I was thinking,
I want to see BYU
doesn't have anything. BYU Utah has nothing like that.
Yeah.
But they have a Marriott Center.
Exactly.
But it's a different vibe. Right?
It's a completely different vibe in the Marriott Center.
So I just thought that was really interesting to see how they.
Okay, I'm going to have to go online and look at pictures of this now. You have me intrigued.
You should.
Because, as you know, I still am a Rexburg virgin. Never been to Rexburg.
Oh, you got to go. It's a happening place these days.
Well, I tried over Labor Day weekend. But I failed miserably.
You had a little road trip.
We had a little road trip incident. We were going to Yellowstone. So we were going to pass through Rexburg going to Yellowstone. To date, I still have not been north of Idaho
you should
Falls.
go. But don't go in the winter. That's what I hear. I don't know. I've never been in the winter. But
That's what I've heard too.
I hear stay away.
Okay. Well, speaking of BYU, I'm going to do a brief mention on this story simply because it was in the alumni magazine that came out. It actually was a story that was released in August, and I don't recall seeing it in August. And it was republished in the alumni magazine. As you recall, when we went to BYU, they published a newspaper every day called the Daily Universe.
Yes.
And every time I went to campus, I always grabbed my edition of the Daily Universe. I loved reading it.
Loved the Daily Universe.
Well, unfortunately, the Daily Universe has gone the way of most newspapers. They are no longer publishing a hard copy edition on a daily basis. They have, of course, their online news, so students can hop online, and they have transitioned into a monthly magazine just like the Deseret News. And so it's kind of like a mini Deseret News is what I have decided the Daily Universe is.
Wait, does Deseret News not publish a daily anymore?
They don't publish a daily anymore.
I didn't know this.
They publish a magazine.
Since when?
Oh gosh, this has been a year or so now.
Really?
Yes. I'm trying to remember if they still publish on the weekend or not. I can't recall. But no, they no longer publish a daily. Their news is primarily online. And they publish a magazine that has really in-depth articles. And so, with the advent of the internet and a 24-hour news cycle, it is kind of passé to have a newspaper. It is kind of quaint to think about reading a paper that you flip every day.
I know. I just remember the police beat.
Oh, I know.
Such fond memories of the police beat.
Well, I'm guessing if you go online, the police beat's probably still there. I haven't gone online.
I don't know, because actually by the time I graduated from BYU, they had really cracked down on the police beat because everybody was trying to get in it because it was so amazing. I remember this one thing in the police beat, a girl's braid was cut off in the library while she fell asleep. The suspect has not been found. The most random, weird pranks. By the time I graduated from BYU, the police beat was super watered down. They stopped putting in any of the fun stuff, and they just put in the hard crime, which was few and far between.
Yeah.
So
the fun stuff is why you read it.
So, all right. Okay. Next article we have is from Deseret News, and it is titled "The Clues Behind the Powerful Stories of Latter-day Saint Reconversion." And I really loved this article. It was really interesting to me. It was talking about people that leave the church and then come back.
Oh, which is unusual because all you ever hear is people leave. And you never hear the stories of people who leave and come back.
Yes. So they we're talking, it's kind of a new term that has been coined for this called reconversion.
Okay.
And they were just talking about how faith promoting these stories can be. And there are a couple of married English professors at BYU, Idaho, that are trying to change just the way we look at it by sharing these narratives. They're collecting these narratives. Yes. They're doing a little bit of research on the data of these narratives, trying to analyze and see what do some of these stories have in common of people that come back. Their names are Eric and Sarah Hafen D'Evigny. I'm probably butchered your last name. But she is a daughter of Elder Bruce C. Hafen, who has written a book about faith is not blind. So she's kind of got this background of of.
Well, and I think she's working on this with her parents as well.
Yeah, it sounds like they're involved too. And so they are, collecting these stories of reconversion, and they're looking for like patterns and themes, and what do some of these stories have in common. And so just some interesting things that they noted was they said a lot of the stories start off with superlative language, like, I was a perfect missionary. I was a perfect mom. We were perfect at, we did FHE every week. Like, just kind of, they talk about how that's how they were before they left. And they were just talking about how that kind of goes back to this like ideal of perfectionism and always trying to be perfect. And
I liked what they said, where that they would frequently use language that showed the tellers had limited their choices about how they could believe.
Right.
And, and I thought about that because, some of the people that I have known that have left were very just like, oh, I have to do this perfectly. I have to do this perfectly. I have to. And when they couldn't do it perfectly, not that that was their reason necessarily for giving up, but they were very black and white individuals.
It was kind of like an all or none.
Exactly. Exactly.
So they did find that to be a pattern amongst some people. Another pattern that they found was kind of the language that is used around. Often people would refer to the church, and they would lump everything under that title of the church. Like, the church expected me to do this. The church believed this, or the church made me feel this way. The church, where they're kind of lumping in not just the theology, but the culture around the theology, and just lumping it all under the title of, the church.
Yes.
So they found that was a common pattern that they saw. But then they talked about just like these reconversion stories. And this was a really interesting statistic they threw out that I had not heard. 1 in 4 Americans no longer affiliates with a church or religion, which is about 90%, which we've heard.
Yes.
That number is just doing nothing but growing as the years go on. But it said that 1 of 4 of Americans that no longer affiliate with a church still believe in God, at least sometimes.
Yes.
So there's a huge number of Americans that no longer go to church or believe in an organized religion, but they still the majority do believe in God
and consider themselves spiritual.
Right.
Even if they don't participate in an organized religion.
Right. So I thought that was interesting. It said almost every case, those who reconverted said something about refinding God, refinding God. So they just talked about,
felt like that they needed a connection.
How important that relationship with God is for people to come back. More important than the relationship you have, with your elders quorum president or the people in the church. More important is refinding that relationship with God. And then they said that they would say it's usually not ever one thing that takes people out of the church or brings them back, but it's kind of like a multitude of things. But quite often there's like a straw that like broke the camel's back. So sometimes it gets blamed on one thing, like, oh, I was offended by this, or, oh, I just couldn't, this doctrine really was hard for me. But they were just saying that from what they've seen, there's usually a lead up to that. And that's kind of like the final thing. And same with coming back. There's usually like a lead up to coming back. And then someone will choose to go to an activity and just feel encircled with love. And then they'll say, well, everybody was so nice and they loved me. But that's usually not what it was. That helps.
Yeah.
But there's a lead up to that.
Yeah.
So
no, it's a fascinating study.
It is really interesting. Sure. And I love the idea of getting these stories out there because I do think they are so inspiring.
Yeah.
They also talked in the article about how never does anyone that they've interviewed who has reconverted say that, their mom sending them an Ensign article did any good, which we talked about this before. We have an episode we did with our other sister a few years ago who has left the church, and we talked about that exact same thing.
Yeah.
Like when your family member leaves the church, it probably doesn't really help if you're mailing them an Ensign article once a month.
Or saying, missionaries, go talk to them.
Or saying, I put your name in the temple on the prayer roll. Yeah. You could do it. Just maybe don't tell them.
Exactly. That would be my recommendation.
So anyways, just really interesting. I love hearing stories about that. I think it's very faith promoting. I have several family members and friends I know who have left and come back. And I think they are so inspiring. I think that them sharing their stories is so faith promoting and inspiring, because we all have times where we struggle, right? We have ups and downs with our faith. And I think that people who are open and honest and share that openly just helps us all. Yeah. So
I do too. No, it was a great article. So, all right. So we're going to make a really rough transition from that into reality TV.
Oh, yeah.
Because, we're big reality TV fans. So there is a new show on NBC, which I have not watched. I guess it airs on Friday nights, and it is called Home Sweet Home. And it's an unscripted reality show. It's produced by this lady by the name of Anna DuVernay. And so the whole premise of this show is two families are going to swap houses for a week. Mm-hmm. Now you've heard about, like the wife swap sort of a thing.
Sounds really similar to wife swap.
Except your whole entire family goes into another house, and that family goes into your house. So you're not there with.
So you're going to have less drama than
you're going to have less drama than wife swap. And so each family leaves a list and says, "This is what our family does. Mm-hmm. These are our activities. These are our friends. Etc." So they had an episode that aired last Friday night, I believe, and it involved a family that are members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints swapping houses with a Jewish family. So the Jewish family came and played with all the Mormons for a week, and the Mormons went and played with all the Jews for a week.
I love this. It sounds like great fun.
I know. So now I'm like, okay, I have the Peacock app. I'm like, I'm going to have to go watch this on the Peacock app. Anyway, so the LDS family was the Baltazars, and they have the dad. He's a real estate broker. His wife is a swim instructor, and they have 4 children. And they live in Orange County, California, and they swapped houses with the Silversteins, who lived in Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. And they said, this article just interviews the Baltazars. And the Baltazars say, they cheerfully experienced Jewish faith traditions and did photography and art and beatboxing and improv. I mean, those aren't necessarily Jewish related, but that's what that family does. Mm-hmm. And their dad said it was a wonderful concept. It really helped him and his family to step outside their comfort zone, helped his children to expand their worldview and see things that other people do. What was really interesting is the producer of this show, this Ava DuVernay. So she cast this LDS family, and she has really some preconceived notions about the church. And she thinks that she considered not doing the episode because she's like, oh, members of the church, they hate Black people. That's kind of what she thinks. And then she sees this family, and she sees how curious and open-minded they are. And she realizes, wow, there are a lot of misconceptions about what it means to be a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And it really helped her to kind of change her viewpoint, seeing how the Baltazars were. So that just seemed kind of fun to me.
That is cool. Okay, I want to know what the Silversteins did in the LDS house all week. Did they have to go clean the church? Did they have to did they have to schlep chairs around and set up chairs?
I'm sure they did.
Did they go to Mutual?
It doesn't really
Did their kids go to early morning seminary?
Oh, that's a good one. That is a really good one.
We're going to have to go watch.
I am so going to have to go watch this because I'm completely fascinated now. And what did they think? Because again, in our religion, we're not just show up on Sunday. It is like, it is all in every day of the week. It's a lifestyle. So, okay. Also, we have an article about a gentleman by the name of Jonah Hoskins, and he is 24 years old. He is a returned missionary. He served his mission in New York City, in Chinatown in New York City. And he is a rising opera star. In fact, he won this huge contest last year. And he got, as a result of winning this contest last year, he went to the National Council auditions, a competition in New York City's Metropolitan Opera House, and he did really well in that competition. He got an offer from the Met to join their artist development program, and he was actually at that time auditioning for Juilliard. And so when he gets this offer from the Met, he's like, peace out, BYU. I'm going to NYC. And he halts his Juilliard audition and accepts this Met offer. Well, then he gets an even better deal. He gets asked to compete in this competition, which was held in Russia, and it is called Operalia. And I guess if you're in the opera realm, it is like a huge, huge deal. And you win Operalia, and it like puts you, well, just even competing in it puts you like on the map for opera people. So he was competing in this. He says he didn't get to see much of Russia because he was too busy competing. He did tie for second place, and he walked away with $20,000. And now he's headed back to New York to continue to be in the Met and continue to train.
Very cool.
Folks, watch out for Jonah, because I think he's going to be a big deal.
That's really cool. Very cool. Ooh, my printer's making noises.
Yeah, your printer wants to play.
Okay. Next story we have the long-awaited return of Music in the Spoken Words live broadcast. So exciting.
Yes.
We talk about this like every month. I know we're obsessed. Oh,
it really, your printer's, yeah, sorry about that. It's our printer.
It's got some printer noise back there. So they returned to their live broadcast the second to last Sunday in October. And which is funny because we had it on TV, I think 2 weeks ago. I think it was on Halloween. We had it on in the morning. And we were trying to figure out because I hadn't read this article yet. I didn't realize that they were back. And we were trying to figure out if it was live or not because they had the full choir. They brought back the full choir.
They brought back the full choir for the broadcast.
But it didn't say previously recorded like it usually does.
Yeah.
So we were like, is it live? But we were like, no, it can't be. They have the full choir. Yeah. But this article says, yes, they brought back the full choir and the orchestra for the music and spoken word. They have and nobody.
The bells. They brought the bells
just in time for Christmas. They have no one in the audience. Yes. All they have is the choir and the essential, personnel to run the broadcast.
And they are doing extensive COVID testing.
Yes.
They had a picture of Newell.
Lloyd Newell,
the announcer.
Picture. I about died.
He had a cotton swab going up his nose. He was getting his COVID test.
If you do anything with this, go look at the picture with this article because it is so clearly staged. It's Lloyd Newell with a physician, like in his full-blown like COVID garb, cotton swabbing his nose inside the Tabernacle or the conference center. You can see the stage behind him. So It's very clearly inside the conference center. I was like, are they really doing their weekly tests just right there in the pews of the conference center? I think this was like a very staged photo, but it was fun.
I agree.
And then they quoted in the article the physician for the choir, the choir's personal physician. I was like, oh, the choir has a physician now?
Here's the question. Did the choir have a choir physician pre-COVID?
That's what I was wondering.
Or is this a new development?
I'm going to guess this is new.
I'm guessing it too because I can't really see a demand for a full-time physician prior to COVID.
Anyway, we're happy about it. We'll take it. So now they're full-blown back in.
Every Sunday.
Back in business, live every Sunday morning.
Yep.
9:30 Mountain Time.
Yes. So, and it also said in the article that as soon as their live performance is done, they immediately slap it up on their YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So if you miss the live performance, you can just hop on the YouTube channel and catch it.
So that's very cool. And I'm sure that means we will have some lovely choir performances at the Christmas devotional.
Very true.
Which is also not open to the public this year. Yes. But I'm assuming the choir and the orchestra will be full in for that. So
I would agree. So we can all cross our fingers that maybe a year from now, we'll all be fighting over tickets.
That's right.
To the Tabernacle Choir.
Right. Usually by now you have put your name in the lottery and either acquired or not acquired your tickets.
Exactly.
Usually not acquired.
Usually not acquired. Exactly. So, all right. Our next article talks about a collection of rare and historic Latter-day Saint items that are valued at $3.2 million that's for sale. So there is this gentleman. He was an orthodontist down in Bountiful, and his name is, check this out, George Ralph Bailey.
George Bailey?
George Bailey!
How did I miss that?
I don't know, but you know what? He must have seen the movie because he didn't go by George Bailey. He went by Ralph Bailey.
Oh, he should embrace it. He should totally go by George Bailey.
You know, I'm wondering if it's a generation thing because, you know, our dad's first name was George and he never went by George. He went by his middle name. I know a lot of Georges who don't go by George. They go by whatever their middle name is.
What's wrong with George? I like George.
I don't know what is wrong with George. I don't know why. Other than I think that it was probably our grandmother who decided that she was going to call our dad by his middle name. Anyway, he'd have made a great general authority because he would have had the G. Noel Hales. He has the letter in front. Anyway, that's a sidebar. Let's go back to Mr. Bailey and his collection. So he amassed this private collection of more than 4,000 items. They have valued it at $3.2 million. The gentleman who valued it said this is one of the most valuable and expansive LDS collections in private hands today. He says, in my 40 years of appraising LDS works, I have never come across anything quite like it. With more than 4,000 items, this collection provides a unique lens into a transformational time for the religion, which helps piece together significant moments within U.S. history. So the gentleman, Mr. Bailey's children, said that he was just an avid collector, that anytime they went on a trip that was like remotely close to anything church related in these small towns, he would go into old bookstores or pawn shops, and he just delighted in this. And his favorite thing to do was to come home, get comfortable in his black leather rocking chair, and read all things church history. So the family would like to keep this collection together, but that presents some difficulties because most collectors are looking for specific items and don't want a whole collection. And so it may make more sense to parse it out, but they have first edition of the Book of Mormon, several first editions of the Book of Mormon, lots of Brigham Young letters that were written. And anyway, and so they're just hoping that somebody else that is as passionate as Mr. Bailey or Brother Bailey will want to acquire this collection. So we'll have to kind of see what happens with that.
So interesting to me. I never even realized that this was a thing. There's this whole market for these collectibles until we watched that crazy documentary about the guy with the bomb. And
exactly.
What was that called?
Oh,
I can't remember.
I can't remember either. I'm having the biggest brain fart. But yeah.
But I didn't realize this was a thing. There's this whole
underworld and underbelly of LDS collectibles.
It's really
But see, now after having watched that movie, I look at his stuff and I'm like, well, how do we know that's not a forgery after watching the Mark Hoffman thing?
That's right.
So it just makes me question.
Yeah.
Mark Hoffman now makes me question.
I don't know. It's an interesting hobby.
I mean, I'm sure everything of his is authentic. But
it's a very unique hobby.
Yes.
Okay. And the next article we have is on Latter-day Saint YouTuber rallies the internet to purge trash from the ocean.
Ooh.
This is about Mark Rober, who's a very famous YouTuber with like millions of subscribers. You will probably remember him. He was like the glitter bomber on a few years ago. He would like rig up the Amazon packages to catch the porch pirates that would steal the package, and the glitter would bomb.
And he had a camera attached to it somehow, so you could see the bomber and he could track the package and know where the package was going.
So he has this YouTube channel where he does all kinds of clever things.
Okay. Lots of doesn't he have like millions of followers?
Oh, millions, like over 20 million. He is
way too monetized.
Wildly famous. And he's constantly doing videos, science and stuff. My kids love him. So he has also just done a whole lot of good in the world with his fame. He's been raising autism awareness. I think he came out We talked about him a while ago. There was an
Mhm.
article. His son, I think, has autism.
Oh, okay.
Son or daughter. One of his kids has autism. And so he's really been advocating for
Mhm.
that. Over the past couple years. I guess last year he did a project that planted over 2 million trees.
Oh.
So this year, his newest goal is he would like to clean up 30 million pounds of trash from the oceans.
Wow.
And he's calling the project Team Seas.
Okay.
And he is like collaborating with a bunch of other YouTubers and famous people, and also the Ocean Conservatory
Mhm.
and the Ocean Cleanup. For every dollar that is donated, the nonprofits will remove 1 pound of trash from the ocean.
Oh.
So far, they have removed 12 million pounds of trash. And he
Okay.
just started this campaign like the end of October. It's
Oh,
only
wow.
been like a week.
That's awesome.
Isn't that crazy? He's got such a following.
Okay.
He's got power. He's like Oprah of YouTube.
Oh.
the
LDS Oprah.
The LDS male science geeky Oprah of YouTube.
Dang.
So, it also says
he puts some of those mommy bloggers to shame with those followers.
I know, he really does. It's amazing the good that he can do and the following that he has.
Yeah.
It says he also got our favorite Olympian, Michaela Skinner, to join forces. She is also
team trash cleanup.
I am Team C's, and so she's been like promoting it on her, social stuff.
Okay.
So the goal is to get to $30 million, which would be 30 million pounds of trash removed from the ocean.
Dang, that's awesome.
So I think it's really cool. I love it when people use their fame for good. So,
okay, well, I think that finishes it up for news stories.
Yes.
So we will move on to Mormons behaving badly. Now, I have two things.
Tiffany's been waiting for
I've been waiting for this one.
For a couple weeks now.
Well, but I'm not going to start with the one that I've been waiting for. Okay. I'm going to give a brief Chad Daybell, Lori Vallow update.
Oh, do we have an update on them?
Oh, yes, we have an update on them. We have two updates.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Word on the street, and I've been looking for confirmation on this, but I saw kind of a rogue article on it the other day that Chad Daybell's been excommunicated. Although the paperwork didn't exactly get to him till about a month after it happened.
Okay, well.
So probably deservedly so.
Seems appropriate.
Second, allegedly, so as we know, Lori's in the psych hospital because she's cuckoo for coconuts. Or at least, I can't decide if she's crazy or crazy like a fox. There's a part of me that thinks she's crazy like a fox.
Could be.
So allegedly, one of the psych techs in the hospital said, well, you should get rid of your lawyer and you should have the LDS Church defend you.
Oh, I did read this. Yes. I did read this article.
And so supposedly the psych tech said,
I forgot about this.
Curtin McConkie is the one that defends them. Here's Curtin McConkie's telephone number. Why don't you give him a jingle? So she calls up Curtin McConkie. Again, this is the story that we're hearing. And, she calls on the phone. Hey, this is Lori. Can I talk to someone? I need new counsel. So the McConkie, or at least one of the McConkies of the Curtin McConkie law fame, I can't remember if it was David or who it was. Anyway, A. McConkie gets on the phone with her. Like, I can't even imagine. Sir, Lori Vallow's on the phone wanting to talk to somebody. I mean, that's like, if you're in a law firm, that's like, hold the phones. Let's see what this is all about.
Right.
So she gets on and she's like, yeah, I'm going to need the church to defend me. And he's like, well, I really can't do that. So thanks, bye. And hangs up.
Not how it works.
That's not how it works. So then he promptly contacts the prosecutor and says, yo, Lori Vallow's calling me. And the prosecutor, of course, discloses this to Lori's attorney because the prosecutor has to do that. So now Lori's attorney wants to flip this and blame this all on the church and all on the prosecutor. And so now Lori's attorney
saying that they're like in cahoots.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
That he was saying that like McConkie's going to pass information to the prosecutor.
Exactly. And they're interfering with my attorney-client relationship. Mm-hmm. Now her attorney is asking that the prosecutor and anybody else who has membership in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints be removed from the case. Let me tell you, that's not going to happen. There is really no...
Not in Eastern Idaho.
Not in Eastern Idaho.
If you committed your crime in Western Idaho, possibly.
Well, what's really funny is I am pretty sure the judge on this case is LDS.
The one here in Ada County?
Well, no, the Eastern Idaho judge is Ada County.
Oh, because Chad got moved here, but she didn't yet.
Yes, but the Eastern Idaho judge is coming to Boise. He's keeping the case. He's not pawning it off on one of his compadres.
I thought that our judge was getting it.
No, he's keeping it. So anyway, that's your Chad and Lori Vallow update. Or Daybell. Okay, now for the one that I have just been jonesing for. So Jeff mentioned her name briefly in last week's episode.
Right.
Kristen Sinema. She is a senator from Arizona. She was raised LDS. We definitely know she is no longer active. We don't know what her status is in terms of her membership. But as we know on Mormons Behaving Badly, you don't necessarily have to be Mormon. You just can be Mormon adjacent and qualify. So she was left in charge of the Senate a few weeks ago, as in, sitting in the big chair in the front, where the TV cameras are on you. This is kind of a big deal. Mm-hmm. So let me just tell you how she showed up that day for her prestigious job being in charge of the Senate. She is wearing a black t-shirt dress, and the end of this black t-shirt dress has these little overlays, and it has fringe on it.
There's fringe.
It's short.
And tight. It's kind of like I don't know.
And she's wearing
something you'd wear to a nightclub, maybe.
She's wearing it with tennis shoes, black tennis shoes that have big bows on them, no socks. And then she has this denim vest that is kind of cropped, kind of hits just kind of below the bust line, and a big pink purse. She looks like she's ready to go to the mall or to a girlfriend's house to get the nails done, not to go preside over the Senate. And she has caught a lot of flack. Apparently, she has quite a colorful wardrobe. And I can appreciate a colorful wardrobe, but I would also, like, anytime I'm going to court, I've got the whole section of my closet these are my going to court clothes. Yes. These are not the clothes I wear to the office. These are the clothes that I'm going to wear when I'm going to see the person wearing the black robe.
Yes.
And it was just so wildly inappropriate. Plus, the Senate has a dress code, no denim on the floor.
Oh, they do?
They do.
That's official, huh?
That is official.
I mean, one would assume people would know that. But
exactly.
I didn't realize it was like an official in writing.
Exactly. So there was a hilarious tweet going around that says, Kristen Sinema, first senator to be bribed in Kohl's cash.
So funny.
Because seriously, so she is my nominee this month for Mormons Behaving Badly, because come on, Kristen, you can do better than that in terms of outfit choices.
Yeah, it's so funny. And we were talking about it before, and we're like, well, in the article,
there's an article that we'll link. It's a New York Post article.
New York Post article, it was talking about, women are like highly, highly scrutinized for what they wear all the time.
Yeah.
But also we were talking like if, Mitt Romney walks in a pair of jeans
or khakis and a polo shirt to lead the Senate, I'd be going,
he's also going to get criticized.
He would be my nominee for Mormons Behaving Badly. That is not what you wear to preside over the Senate. Come on, people, have a little respect.
Oh, it did make for some very entertaining tweets, though.
It did. All right. Now that I will get off my soapbox on Kristen Sinema's fashion choices.
Okay.
At least in terms of leading the U.S. Senate. Like what she wears to work every day. She wears some outlandish stuff. Again, I can respect. I'm not going to criticize that. I'm just going to criticize what you wear to lead the Senate. Okay. Should we move on to favorite things?
Yes. Let's move on to favorite things. Okay. My favorite thing this month is a book that I read. It probably took me 6 months to read it, just because reading books is hard these days. Yes. I have small children. There's no time. But I finally finished it like probably a couple months ago, and I have not talked about it. But it's not a new book. It's an old book. Probably lots of people have already read it, but I just read it over the past 6 months and loved it. I thought it was totally fascinating. Destiny of the Republic by Candace Millward, and it is all about President Garfield and the assassination of President Garfield. And it gives you the history of him as a person. I need to
get that for Mark for Christmas. My son would love that.
You can borrow it. I have it. In fact, you can have it. I'll just pass it on to you.
Seriously?
Yeah.
So this is a library book, like you bought it?
No, I bought this one.
Oh yeah, I totally want that. Mark would love that.
it was just so fascinating. I didn't really know a lot about this. We hear a lot about Kennedy's assassination. We don't hear a lot about this. It was so interesting to me. And they talked a lot about, the medicine this was like in 1881. Yeah. Like he totally could have survived.
Yeah.
If it were not for like all of the snafus and mistakes that his doctors made. Also, it was just so interesting to hear how the presidency worked back then.
Oh.
Like, of course he got assassinated. Like anybody could go talk to the president back then.
It's just crazy.
So,
like I can't even imagine.
Anyway, and it was just really interesting. And it was also interesting to just see like the history of it and how the country responded and how the country pulled together and figured out like who was going to lead after that. Yeah. It's always a scary thing so anyway, it was such a good book. Very good book.
Okay. So my favorite things, I'm doing things because I'm doing two.
Ooh.
And they are items that you can purchase at Costco. My two favorite Costco finds.
Oh, I like a Costco find.
One is a seasonal Costco find, and one is kind of a permanent Costco find.
Okay.
So I'm going to talk about the seasonal one first. They have this product right now. They first got it in last year. And one of our Twim super fans, Holly Casos, who I did she podcasted with me. She is the one who told me about these. And then when I went to find them last year, they were gone and I never got them. And she brought one to my house. And they are divine. But they're in stock right now. And I'm wondering if they were such a hit last year, they'll do a better job of keeping them in stock. They are a Haagen-Dazs cookie square peppermint bark.
Oh.
So it is like a dark cookie, kind of like an Oreo, that has peppermint ice cream on top of it. It is coated in milk chocolate.
Oh, that sounds really good.
It is a divine. 300 calories a whack. So, if you're going to have one, save your calories for the day. So my second Costco find that I like is these chicken nuggets.
I love these.
All of the Instagrammers are raving about these. The brand is Just Bear. It is a lightly breaded chicken breast chunks. And I'm here to tell you folks, you fry these up in your air fryer and they are a dead ringer for Chick-fil-A chicken nuggets. They are so delicious. They are so divine. I've eaten them with Chick-fil-A sauce. I've chopped them up and put them on a salad. I like to do chicken tacos fish style. So I'll cook them in my air fryer and then I'll put coleslaw on them and pretend they're fish tacos, even though
we've used them for tacos before.
Yeah.
They're delicious.
They are so good. Mm-hmm. And so I highly recommend that you go get yourself some chicken chunks. And if you don't have a Costco membership, bribe someone you know that does to buy you a bag. They're a little pricey. They're $15 for this bag. But let me tell you, they're so worth it. And especially if you have a Chick-fil-A addiction.
Yeah. You're cheaper than going to Chick-fil-A.
Cheaper than going to Chick-fil-A. And if you air fry them, then theoretically it would be a lot healthier than a fried one that they have at Chick-fil-A.
Yeah. Ooh, okay.
So those are my favorite things this month.
So you better go soon because Costco is famous for not having it.
At least the peppermint squares. I think we're probably safe on the chicken.
No, I don't know. That chicken's hit and miss for me.
Really?
Sometimes when I go, they have it. Sometimes they do not.
Every time I've gone, they've had it. Oh, interesting. All right. Well, I think that about wraps it up for us. Twim Nation, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. And if you have any questions or comments, you can email at thisweekinmormons.com. And you can find us on Twitter. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram. And if you really want to show the love, become a Patreon supporter, $3 a month to keep our lights on.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Good night.